Start with a question. What if one single habit could quietly change everything you do, without you needing to change every part of your life at once? Welcome to BetterSelf. Here we use clear English to help you grow, one idea at a time, while you practice listening and learning. Today we will explore the power of Keystone habits, those simple actions that create a ripple effect across your whole life. This video will give you clear examples, science you can understand, and practical steps you can use today. Listen carefully and try to follow along. We will move chapter by chapter, slowly and steadily, like building with small stones until you stand on a solid path. Chapter 1. What is a keystone habit? A keystone habit is a small, simple habit that changes other habits. Imagine a stone in the center of an arch. Remove it, and the whole arch falls apart. Put the stone in the right place and the arch holds strong. Keystone habits are like that central stone. They are not necessarily the most exciting habits, but they create stability and make other good habits easier to start. This idea helps us focus on what matters most. Instead of trying to change 10 things at once, we pick one keystone and let its effects spread. Think of a morning habit, like making your bed. It sounds small, perhaps silly, but this tiny action sends a message to your mind. You can finish something. That message makes you slightly more likely to do another small task, like clearing a cup or choosing clothes. Over time, these small tasks add up. The habit of making the bed is a keystone because it sets a tone of order and completion for the day. A keystone does not have to be dramatic. It only needs to be consistent and meaningful for you. Another way to understand keystones is with dominoes. If you set up many dominoes and knock over the first small domino in the right place, the rest will fall in sequence. A keystone habit is like that first domino. It is small, but it is placed so that it triggers a chain reaction. The key idea here is leverage. A tiny action can lead to large results when it affects several areas of life at once. You may already practice a keystone without knowing it. You may notice that when you exercise in the morning, you eat better, sleep better, and feel more confident at work. Or you may notice that when you call your family once a week, your mood improves and your days feel less stressful. When one habit creates many positive changes like this, it is likely a keystone. Stories help the idea stick. There is a famous business story that shows keystone habits at work. A leader focused the whole company on one simple priority. That priority was not about profits or growth, but about safety. When the company made safety the central habit, other things improved: teamwork, reporting of problems, and careful work. The company's performance rose over time because the safety habit changed how people interacted and how they made decisions. The story shows a keystone can be a simple focus that changes how people behave in many settings. One more image. Picture a garden. You can water one central plant every day, and that little care draws you into the habit of tending the whole garden. You notice weeds, you trim leaves, and you will likely plant another seed. The one plant becomes your keystone. The goal is not to force massive change on day one. The goal is to find a tiny, repeatable action that naturally leads to other actions. Now, if you want to try this idea, pick something small and specific. Keep it simple and easy to do, even on your worst day. Test it for a month. Notice what changes happen without consciously forcing them. In the next chapter, we will look at how the brain makes and keeps habits, and why keystones can change entire patterns of behavior. For now, remember this: a keystone habit is a small action with big reach. It creates momentum. It's a place to start when you feel stuck and overwhelmed by too many goals. Chapter 2. The science behind keystone habits. To understand why keystone habits work, we need a short tour of how habits form. The brain learns patterns and saves them as mental shortcuts. A habit is a predictable loop, a cue, a routine, and a reward. The cue tells the brain to start. The routine is the behavior itself. The reward tells the brain that the action was useful. Over time, this loop becomes automatic. You do not need to think much to repeat the same action. That is why habits can be powerful and stubborn. Keystone habits work because they use that habit loop to create small wins that the brain recognizes as helpful, and then the brain nudges you to repeat other behaviors that lead to more rewards. Psychologists speak of small wins. When you complete something small, your brain releases a little rush of satisfaction. That satisfaction is not always dramatic, but it matters. It increases your confidence and your sense of control. With more small wins, your brain starts to expect success. The expectation of success increases motivation. In this way, one habit can improve your belief in yourself and your ability to change. Neuroscience gives us another helpful idea: neuroplasticity. Your brain changes when you practice something. The more you do a habit, the stronger the neural pathways for that behavior become. But this is true for all behaviors, not only the keystone. The difference is that keystone habits tend to trigger other habits that might be connected in surprising ways. For example, regular exercise improves mood, reduces stress, and improves sleep. Better sleep then improves focus and decision-making. These linked improvements make new routines easier to adopt because your cognitive resources are stronger and your mood is better. There is also a social element. Habits are often shaped by the people around us. When you pick a keystone habit that involves others, like a weekly walk with a friend, the habit gains extra power because you become accountable. Social habits create shared expectation and subtle pressure to keep going. This social reinforcement increases the chance that the habit will stick and will affect other parts of your life, like your relationships and social confidence. The science of habit change also shows why environment matters. The brain uses cues from your environment to trigger habits. If your environment is set up to make a habit easy, you are more likely to do it. For keystone habits, changing the environment in small ways can create big results. Think of putting your running shoes by the door, or leaving a glass of water on the nightstand to remind you to drink in the morning. These small changes reduce friction and increase the chance of success. Another scientific idea is identity. When you act in a way that fits the person you believe you are, your actions become aligned with your identity. If your keystone habit is connected to the kind of person you want to be, it can change your identity over time. For example, if you start keeping a short daily journal and you begin to see yourself as a reflective person, you will naturally choose other actions that fit that identity, like reading or planning your day. Identity-driven change is powerful because it uses your own self-image as motivation, which is more stable than external rewards. Now try a small experiment to feel the science at work. Choose one habit that takes less than 5 minutes. Do it every day for 1 week without failure. Observe the cue that led to the habit. Notice the feeling you get after you do it, and watch whether it nudges you to do something else. Write down what happens in simple words. This experiment helps you see the cue routine reward loop, and notice how a small win affects your mood and choices. The science shows that the ripple is real because habits are networks, not isolated actions. Keystone habits create changes in multiple networks at once: physical, emotional, social, and mental. By choosing habits that have broad connections, you create leverage. In the next chapter, we will list different types of keystone habits you can choose from, with stories and examples to make the idea vivid. For now, remember, habits are loops your brain learns. The brain loves small wins, and keystone habits use these small wins to change many parts of life at once. Chapter 3. Everyday keystone habits that create big ripples. Now let us look at real keystone habits you can try. These are actions people use every day to see wide benefits. The list is not fixed. Your keystone should be yours. But these examples will help you imagine possibilities. I will tell short stories and clear examples so each habit feels practical and real. First, making your bed in the morning. This is a classic example because it is simple and symbolic. A person I know began making their bed every morning as part of a personal challenge. At first it felt trivial, but after a week, they noticed a shift. Their room stayed tidier because they did not want to sleep in a messy space. They began clearing dishes faster and they felt a small sense of pride each morning. Months later, that small ritual had affected their attention to detail and their ability to finish other tasks. The bed ritual became a quiet anchor, a keystone that nudged other small habits like putting away laundry and returning items to their place. Second, daily movement. Not necessarily intense exercise, but consistent movement, like a daily 20-minute walk, stretching, or a short home workout. A friend of mine started walking after lunch for just 15 minutes. At first, the walk was simply a break, but then it improved sleep, reduced stress, and helped digestion. Suddenly, they had more mental energy for focused work, and they were less likely to snack. That small walk became a keystone because movement changed physical energy, mood, and decision-making. The ripple included fewer cravings and clearer thinking. Third, a short planning habit. Spend 5 minutes each evening or each morning writing one clear priority for the day. A client of mine tested this for a month. Their mornings were less chaotic because they already knew the single most important task to finish. Having a specific priority reduced decision fatigue and gave a chosen direction for the day. Over time, the simple act of naming one priority improved their time management and reduced stress. The habit also helped with focus because the brain was not pulled by vague options. Fourth, sleep routines. Going to bed at a consistent time and creating a simple wind-down habit is a powerful keystone. Better sleep improves mood, memory, and decision-making. A teacher I know improved their bedtime routine by turning off screens 30 minutes earlier and reading. After 2 weeks, mornings were easier, patience increased, and the teacher felt more present in conversations. The keystone of sleep improved work performance and social interactions. Fifth, journaling or reflection. Spending 5 minutes to write down what went well and what you want to improve can create clarity. One writer started a short gratitude and goal journal each night. This habit made them notice progress and reduced worry. Over time, the habit shifted their focus from problems to possibilities, and they started taking small, deliberate actions toward their goals. That simple habit changed how they interpreted their day and how they planned the next. Sixth, family rituals like a shared meal or a nightly check-in. Families who build simple rituals often report stronger connections and fewer misunderstandings. A small weekly family dinner where phones are left at the door can be a keystone that improves communication and emotional balance. The ritual becomes a reminder of values and priorities, and that social stability supports better work focus and mental health. Seventh, healthy eating routines. A habit like starting the day with a glass of water or a protein-rich breakfast can have broad effects. Hydration first thing improves energy and clarity. A startup founder I spoke with made a habit of drinking water and eating a balanced breakfast. That small morning routine reduced mid-morning cravings and improved concentration, which led to better work sessions and fewer impulsive snack choices. Eighth, a habit of learning. Read 10 pages a day or listen to a short podcast in English. This habit is especially useful for our listeners. A learner I know used 10 minutes each day to listen to an English podcast. Over months, their listening improved and they felt more confident speaking. The small learning habit influenced their self-image as someone who grows daily, and this identity change caused other learning behaviors to follow. Ninth, a digital habit. Create a 1-hour no-phone period each evening. The break from screens improves focus and calm. After a few weeks of consistent no-phone periods, many people report better sleep and stronger relationships because they are more present. 10th, a habit of asking one clarifying question in conversations. This is a social keystone that improves relationships quickly. When you ask a sincere question, you build trust and invite dialogue, which changes how people respond to you in many situations. Now, pick one of these examples and imagine it as a keystone for your life. If you want to try one, start small and specific. For example, instead of saying I will exercise more, say I will walk for 15 minutes after lunch every weekday. That small sentence is a clear start. Make the action easy so you can repeat it without friction. Once you practice for a few weeks, Watch how it ripples into other areas: mood, sleep, social life, and work. The magic of keystones is not that they do everything, but that they make other good things easier to do. Chapter 4. The Morning Keystone. How your first hour shapes the day. Many people find the morning hour holds unique power. The reason is simple. Mornings are a reset moment. After sleep, your willpower and attention are relatively fresh. A consistent morning habit creates a tone that carries through the day. If your first hour is busy and unplanned, your day tends to be reactive. If your first hour is calm and intentional, you more often act rather than react. Consider the idea of habit stacking. You take one small habit you already do and attach a new habit to it. For example, if you always make a cup of tea in the morning, decide to read one paragraph while the water steeps. Or if you always put on your shoes, add 2 minutes of stretching before you step out. This method makes new habits easier because you don't need to start from zero. You ride on the cue of an existing habit. A simple morning keystone might include 3 small actions: hydrate, move, and plan. Hydrate with a glass of water to restore fluids after the night. Then move your body for 5 to 20 minutes. Stretching, a short walk, or light exercise to increase circulation. Finally, state your single priority for the day in one sentence. When combined, these 3 actions prepare the body, calm the mind, and set direction. The result is a quieter mind and clearer focus. Stories help here too. A friend created a morning ritual after a period of constant stress. Their ritual took only 15 minutes: water, 2 stretches, and writing 1 priority. The ritual felt simple, but it created a reliable pattern. On days when they were tempted to skip, they noticed the day felt heavier and more chaotic. The ritual became a keystone because it reduced decision fatigue and made the person more likely to face challenges with calm. Structure the morning so it does not demand perfect energy or too much time. The danger with morning routines is they can become too ambitious and therefore fragile. Keep yours under 30 minutes and make the first action almost unavoidable. For example, place your water glass on the nightstand and leave your clothes ready. Small and environmental changes reduce friction and increase consistency. A helpful technique is to use a timer. If you plan to move for 10 minutes, set a simple timer and commit to moving until the alarm rings. A short timer limits mental bargaining. Also, track your consistency. A simple calendar where you mark each day you complete the routine creates a visual chain. The chain itself becomes a motivator because you do not want to break it. Now, try a short experiment. Tomorrow morning, drink a glass of water, move for 5 minutes, and write 1 sentence about your most important task. Do not worry about perfection. Keep everything simple and quick. At the end of the day, notice whether your mood changed, whether you felt more focused, and whether one small action led to another. For language learners, use the morning to practice English in small ways. Read 1 short paragraph in English aloud, or listen to a 1-minute clip while you stretch. This small practice becomes easier as part of the routine and gradually improves listening and pronunciation without heavy study. The morning keystone works because it reduces friction, creates small wins, and sets an identity. I am someone who starts my day intentionally. When your identity shifts even a little, other behaviors naturally follow. The morning hour is not the only time for keystone habits, but it is a reliable place to experiment because the brain is fresh and your willpower is less depleted. Use it to build momentum for the rest of your day. Chapter 5. Sleep as a keystone habit. Why better sleep improves everything. Sleep is one of the most underrated keystone habits. It affects energy, mood, memory, decision-making, and even appetite. When sleep is good, it is easier to make healthy choices. When sleep is poor, every decision becomes harder. That is why improving sleep often has wide benefits that feel almost miraculous. Think of sleep as the foundation of a house. If the foundation is solid, The house is stable and supports many functions. If the foundation is weak, everything else shakes. Improving sleep is like reinforcing that foundation. Small changes in sleep behavior, consistent bedtimes, a short wind-down routine, removing screens before bed, can improve the quality and restorative power of sleep. Better sleep then improves focus, emotional control, and physical recovery, which then helps you follow other habits. Start with a simple rule. Keep your bedtime and wake time within a 30-minute window each day, including weekends if possible. Consistency helps the body's internal clock. When the body knows a regular rhythm, you fall asleep more quickly and sleep more deeply. It may feel hard at first, but consistency pays off in restful nights and easier mornings. Creating a wind-down routine helps too. This routine could include dimming lights, turning off screens, taking a warm shower, or reading a short chapter. The key is to choose actions that calm the nervous system and signal that sleep is coming. Avoid heavy screens and intense work right before bed because they stimulate the brain and delay restful sleep. A person I coached used a 5-minute wind-down that included writing 3 short sentences. What went well today, what to do tomorrow, and one thing they are grateful for. This simple reflection reduced worry and helped them let go of the day. The result was faster sleep onset and fewer middle-of-the-night wake-ups. Over weeks, the person noticed better focus and improved mood during the day. Light and temperature also matter. Bright lights in the evening can confuse your circadian rhythm. Try dimming lights in the last hour before bed. Cooler temperatures help the body transition to sleep. Small environmental changes like blackout curtains or a fan can make a big difference. Avoid caffeine late in the day. Even small amounts in the afternoon can affect sleep quality. Instead, try herbal tea or water. If you have trouble falling asleep, practice breathing or a short meditation for 5 minutes. These practices calm racing thoughts and reduce the fight or flight response. Another simple strategy is to leave problems for the morning. If your mind spins with worry, write 1 sentence to capture the worry and a note that you will address it tomorrow. The act of writing moves the problem from memory to paper and reduces the brain's need to keep rehearsing it, which often disrupts sleep. If you are building other habits, prioritize sleep first. Better sleep makes learning, exercise, and work more effective. This is why sleep is a keystone. By improving sleep, you improve the capacity to change other behaviors. Try a short sleep experiment for 2 weeks. Pick a bedtime and wake time you can stick to. Create a 5 to 10-minute wind down and avoid screens during that time. Note how your mood, focus, and energy change. Keep a simple journal of small improvements so you can see the ripple effect. Remember one important idea: small, consistent improvements beat dramatic but short-lived changes. Sleep quality improves with small, steady adjustments. Make the environment supportive, create a short routine, and protect your time for rest. Over time, sleep will lift your other habits because when your brain and body recover well, everything else becomes easier. Chapter 6. Exercise and movement, a keystone for energy and confidence. Exercise is a powerful keystone because it changes the body, the brain, and the way you feel about yourself. When you move regularly, your energy rises, stress reduces, and your mood improves. These changes make it easier to tackle work, connect with others, and make healthier food choices. You do not need to become a gym addict. Small regular movement is often the most sustainable and the most transformative. Start with tiny goals. Instead of telling yourself, "I will run 5 kilometers 3 times a week," try, "I will walk for 10 minutes after lunch every weekday." Tiny, concrete goals remove the pressure and make consistency more likely. A woman I know began with a 5-minute yoga routine each morning because she believed she could always spare 5 minutes. Over months, she slowly increased the time and intensity, but more importantly, she started seeing herself as someone who moves daily. That identity shift led to more exercise, better nutrition, and a stronger sense of discipline. Exercise affects the brain in several helpful ways. It increases blood flow and oxygen to the brain, it releases neurotransmitters that boost mood, and it reduces stress hormones. These effects help you focus and think more clearly. After even a short bout of exercise, you may feel a little brighter and more willing to face challenging tasks. Many people report that a small morning workout makes them more productive and less vulnerable to distractions. Movement also supports sleep, which links back to our previous chapter. When your body is physically tired from healthy activity, sleep usually comes easier. That improved sleep further improves energy and mood, creating a virtuous cycle. Exercise also supports appetite regulation. People who move regularly tend to crave healthier foods and are less likely to snack mindlessly. If motivation is the barrier, use accountability. Join a class, find a friend to walk with, or set a daily reminder you cannot ignore. Social pressure and a clear appointment make it easier to show up. Another tool is habit tracking. Mark a calendar or use a simple app every time you move. The visual record of progress builds momentum and keeps the habit alive. Exercise need not be intense to be effective. The key is regularity. Short, consistent sessions add up. A 15-minute bodyweight routine, a brisk walk, or a few rounds of stretching can all be keystone movements. The important part is that these actions become consistent and that they fit your life so you can repeat them. A practical suggestion is to create a 2-minute start rule. Tell yourself that you only need to begin the exercise for 2 minutes. Often starting is the hardest part. Once you begin, you will usually continue longer. This trick reduces the mental barrier to starting and increases follow-through. Combine movement with another habit to stack benefits. For example, listen to an English podcast while you walk to practice language and increase your movement at the same time. Or do a short stretch routine while you listen to a lesson. Linking activities this way makes both more likely to happen. Finally, be kind to your body. Movement is not punishment. It is care. If you miss a day, do not blame yourself. Just return the next day with the same small routine. Consistency over time matters far more than intensity in the short run. Over months, regular movement increases your confidence and resilience, and these qualities spill into work and relationships. Exercise is a keystone because it improves the conditions that make other good habits possible. Chapter 7. The Social Keystone. Rituals that strengthen relationships. Human beings are social creatures, and social habits can be powerful keystones. Rituals like a weekly family dinner, a daily, "How was your day?" check-in, or a short walk with a friend strengthen connections. When relationships feel stable, your stress decreases and your emotional energy increases, which helps you perform better at work and feel happier in daily life. Social keystone habits often take the form of small, regular rituals. For example, a couple might decide to spend 10 minutes each evening sharing one highlight from the day and one challenge. This simple habit creates space for connection and helps both partners feel heard. Over time, trust grows, and small misunderstandings fade. The habit does not solve every problem, but it reduces the likelihood that small issues will become big ones. A teacher I know began a habit of sending one encouraging message to a colleague each week. This small habit improved the teacher's sense of belonging and sparked more collaboration in the school. Social keystone habits can be simple acts of kindness and presence that change how people relate and how teams perform. Accountability groups can also serve as social keystone habits. When you join a small group that meets weekly to share progress on a habit, the group structure encourages consistency. The social expectation and the shared language of goals help members remain committed. This effect is useful for study groups, fitness partners, or language learning pairs. For language learners, a simple weekly conversation practice with a partner can dramatically speed improvement and build confidence. Rituals matter because they reduce the strain of decision-making about when and how to connect. Scheduling a regular call with a friend removes uncertainty and makes connection predictable. Predictable social support is a powerful buffer against stress and isolation. People who feel supported tend to make better choices because their emotional reserves are higher and they can think more clearly. If you want to create a social keystone habit, begin with small, consistent actions that require little planning. A short weekly video call with a family member, an evening walk with a neighbor, or a Sunday message of encouragement to a friend are all effective starts. The key is consistency and simplicity. Try this. Choose one person you value but rarely see. Send a message proposing a short weekly ritual, 5 minutes to share a highlight and a challenge. Keep it simple and stick to it for a month. Note the effect on your mood and your connection. You might find the ritual becomes a stable source of support you did not expect. Social keystones often create domino effects. A regular family meal leads to better communication and fewer conflicts, which leads to calmer mornings, which makes getting children ready easier, and the chain continues. The beauty of social keystones is that they connect to the emotional and relational parts of life that other habits often miss. They provide meaning and support, and that emotional stability makes all other change easier. Chapter 8. Keystone Habits for Productivity and Focus. Productivity keystones shape how you use time and attention. A single habit, like planning your day or time blocking, can remove friction and give your cognitive energy a clear direction. When your day has structure, you waste less time deciding what to do next, and you make more progress on meaningful tasks. A common and effective keystone is the daily priority list. Each morning, write 1 to 3 tasks that matter most and commit to finishing at least one. This habit reduces the paralysis of too many choices and creates a measurable outcome for the day. People who use this habit report feeling calmer and more accomplished because they can see progress each day. Time blocking is another powerful keystone. Use scheduled blocks of time for focused work and guard them like appointments. During these blocks, you remove distractions and focus on a single task. The effect is deeper concentration and higher quality output. Over time, regular time blocking reduces the urge to multitask and builds a habit of deeper focus. Another useful habit is the single task rule. When you work on one task until it is meaningful complete or until the block ends. This rule reduces the cognitive costs of switching tasks and increases the sense of progress. A designer I know started using 45-minute work blocks, followed by 15-minute breaks. After a few weeks, they completed more creative work and felt less drained by constant context switching. If you struggle with distractions, create environmental keystones. Turn off notifications, use a clean desktop, and create a small start ritual before work, like making a cup of tea and sitting down with a short breathing exercise. These actions cue your brain that work has begun and reduce the likelihood of distraction. For language learners who also want productivity gains, combine practice with focused time blocks. For example, set a 25-minute block to study grammar or listen to English, followed by a 5-minute break. Use this focus pattern to build consistency while protecting your attention. A useful mental keystone is to plan for interruptions. Recognize that interruptions are normal, and have a simple rule like, if I am interrupted, I will write the task down and return to it when the block finishes. This rule reduces the mental cost of interruptions and helps you preserve focus. Finally, measure progress. A small tracking habit, marking daily priority completion, provides feedback and helps you adjust. Keep the tracking simple. You do not need complex charts. A daily mark on a calendar or a short list in your notebook is enough. The visual record of small wins builds momentum. The essence of productivity keystones is to reduce friction and create clarity. A single habit can change the whole way you approach work by giving you a built-in structure and a clear outcome for each day. When your work becomes predictable in structure, your energy stays higher and your results improve. Chapter 9. How to choose your keystone habit. Choosing a keystone habit is personal. The best keystone for one person may not work for another. The right keystone fits your life, your values, and your current obstacles. To choose wisely, ask a few simple questions. What area of my life causes the most friction? which small change would make several other changes easier. What habit can I do even on my worst day? Start by listing 3 areas you want to improve: health, relationships, learning, or work. Next, identify one small action in each area that feels doable. For example, if health is a priority, a small action might be a 10-minute walk. If relationships matter, a small action might be a weekly message to a friend. If learning is the goal, a daily 5-minute English listening practice might be best. Consider your environment. Which habit fits easily into your current life? Habits that require major life changes can be powerful, but are also harder to start. Look for low-friction options that you can sustain. For example, if you commute by walking, make the Keystone a listening habit during that walk. If you work from home, create a short routine that fits between morning coffee and the start of work. Think about identity. Which habit helps you become the person you want to be? If you want to feel more organized, a simple habit like planning one priority daily supports that identity. If you want to be healthier, a habit like daily movement becomes a living proof that you are a person who cares for their body. The identity link provides deeper, longer-lasting motivation than external rewards alone. Try a small experiment. Choose one habit and try it for 2 weeks. Keep it tiny and specific. Track each day you do it. Note how the habit changes other parts of your life. Pay attention to whether it creates new, positive actions or just feels like another task. If it triggers a chain reaction, you likely found a keystone. If it feels isolated, consider adjusting the habit or trying a different one. Do not be afraid to change your keystone after a short test. The goal of the experiment is not to prove that you can do everything perfectly immediately, but to learn which habits effectively influence your life. If something is not creating a ripple effect, try something else. Flexibility is part of the process. Choose habits that are obvious and measurable. Instead of saying I will be healthier, say I will walk for 15 minutes after lunch every weekday. The clarity makes it easier to track and to succeed. Also choose habits that can be completed in a short time, especially at first. The small success builds confidence and momentum. Finally, consider how the habit will fit with other people in your life. If your keystone will affect others, talk with them and invite their support. Shared habits often have stronger effects because of social reinforcement. The process of choosing a keystone fits a simple pattern. Pick one small, clear and repeatable habit that aligns with your values and reduces daily friction. Test it, track it, and be flexible if needed. The right keystone will create momentum that makes other changes more likely. Building a keystone habit is one thing, keeping it is another. The long-term success of a keystone depends on simplicity, structure, and self-compassion. Start with these practical principles. Make the habit easy to do. Tie it to a specific cue. Celebrate small wins, and build a safety net for setbacks. First, simplify. Break the habit into its smallest possible version. If your goal is to exercise, start with 2 minutes. If your goal is reading, start with 1 page. The tiny starting point reduces the chance of avoidance. Over time, length and intensity will increase naturally, but never require big leaps on day 1. Second, anchor the habit to a clear cue. A cue can be an event like finishing breakfast or a time like 7 a.m. When you attach a new habit to a consistent cue, it becomes easier to remember. Habit stacking works well here. After I make my morning tea, I will do 2 minutes of stretching. The cue becomes a reliable starting signal. Third, celebrate small wins. The brain responds to rewards. When you feel a small sense of achievement, you reinforce the habit loop. Celebration can be brief, a mental well done, or a small check mark on a calendar. The visual chain of check marks builds a sense of momentum that helps you continue. Fourth, track your habit. A simple tracker creates feedback and helps you avoid blind spots. Mark a calendar, use a habit app, or keep a short log. The important part is to record consistently, so you have a clear picture of your success and your challenges. Fifth, prepare for setbacks. Life is unpredictable, and missing a day is normal. The key is how you handle lapses. If you miss a day, avoid catastrophizing. Return the next day and do the habit again. Beating yourself up only increases the chance of giving up entirely. Think of setbacks as data. They tell you what needs adjusting, not that you have failed. Sixth, use social support. Tell a friend or family member about your keystone and ask for encouragement. Join a group or find a partner who shares a similar goal. Social accountability increases persistence because you have someone who notices your progress and who can help you keep going. Seventh, protect the environment. Make the habit easier by changing your surroundings. If your keystone is reading, keep an English book by your bed. If it is exercise, keep a pair of shoes near the door. Environment shapes behavior. Small changes reduce resistance and increase success. Eighth, pair the habit with your identity. Every time you do the habit, remind yourself what kind of person you are becoming. I am someone who moves daily, or I am a person who plans their day. Identity statements are simple but powerful because you make choices to stay consistent with who you believe you are. Ninth, review and refine. After a month, reflect on what is working and what is not. Adjust the cue, the context, or the length. The habit should fit your life, not punish it. Refinement keeps the habit sustainable for the long term. 10th, scale gradually. As the small habit becomes automatic, gradually increase the time or complexity, but increase only when the habit feels stable. Avoid big jumps that create friction. The goal is sustainable growth, not quick bursts followed by burnout. If your keystone connects to language learning, integrate English into the habit. For example, if your keystone is a morning walk, use that time to listen to an English podcast. By linking growth in two domains, you create double leverage that builds habits in both areas without extra cost. Finally, create rituals to mark milestones. Celebrate 1 month of consistency with a small reward that reinforces the identity you are building. Rituals give meaning to ordinary actions and strengthen the habit's place in your life. Building and protecting a keystone habit is a long game. The strategies above help you create a resilient habit that survives life's ups and downs. Over time, the ripple effects multiply, and small changes become large results. We have covered a lot. What keystone habits are, why they work, examples you can use, science behind the change, and practical steps to choose, build, and protect your keystone. Remember the simple rule. Choose one small, clear habit that you can do even on your worst day. Practice it consistently, and watch how it ripples through your life. Small wins build identity, which creates long-term change. You can start today. Pick one tiny habit, attach it to a reliable cue, and do it for 2 weeks. Notice the changes without forcing outcomes. Be patient and kind to yourself. Real change often moves quietly and steadily, like water wearing down stone. If this video helped you, please subscribe to BetterSelf for more clear English and practical self-growth strategies. Leave a comment sharing the keystone habit you will try. Your story may inspire someone else to take a small step that changes everything. Start small. Stay steady. Keep building.